Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.
What is going on? How you doing tonight? Well, this afternoon. This is the Club of the Man 1993, and this is my review of this week's episode of AEW Dynamite. It was the August 9th, 2023 edition of Dynamite. It took place in Columbus, Ohio. Just about 3-ish hours west of me, basically. But we're going to talk about everything in the show from top to bottom as we are building towards Allin. It was a good show. It didn't quite excite me. Like last week's show I thought was fire. The AEW Dynamite 200 episode was fire. This one was good. It was a little better than the one we got 2 weeks ago, but it's still good. They are getting some more matches announced. Cool. Some still feel a little randomly thrown together at the last minute. Yes, I get that. But there is still interest. Again, I keep saying, I wish they would have started some of this build sooner for Allin instead of building everything towards these specials. But it's still going to be good. I think Allin now is up to 80,000, I believe it is. Somewhere around there. We'll see. But I think it did set the SummerSlam record, and it's not too far off from setting the WrestleMania record. So if that's not going to light a fire under WWE's ass, then we don't know what's going to do it in the end. But of course, as you see, I got MJF, and I do have Hikaru Shida. I could not find a PNG of her with the newer women's title. Still showing PNGs from her previous reign. But yeah, so that probably will be changing. I did hear the results from Rampage, and we'll talk about that women's Fatal 4-Way in a bit. How that's kind of thrown together, and how I wish that wasn't so obvious as well. But we'll talk about that, though, when we get to it. But again, it was still a good show. Stuff I liked. It just wasn't as fire as last week's show. I am a little disappointed, though. We had one match on this show that I wish they would have saved for, what's it called? Allin. But I also got a little rub on Instagram also from somebody in that match. Talk about that in a second. But let's get rolling because I'm actually recording this while I wait for some friends to arrive. So I want to get the ball rolling. And hopefully this will be uploaded later on tonight. So let's talk about this. So first we opened up with this mandatory meeting with the Jericho Appreciation Society. The story, of course, here is that Chris Jericho has been considering joining the Don Callis family. The JAS, though, does not appreciate that. Especially after what happened last week when they had Don Callis fix up a tag match with Chris Jericho and Konosuke Takeshita taking on Sammy Guevara and Daniel Garcia. Yes, I'm doing this goofy-ass move again. And of course, Don Callis used Floyd when the referee wasn't looking. But Jericho, who at first couldn't believe what Don did, still pinned, I think it was Garcia who he hit with the bat with. So obviously this was like a meeting. Now Chris Jericho came out. He's like, I understand there's a lot of unrest here. And I want to come out here as your friend Chris Jericho and address all these problems. But they didn't even let Jericho speak. Well, first I'll say this. What I did like about this segment is that the weaker guys in the JAS, well, most of them, I felt like they got a rub in this. Like, the ones that, don't need as big of a rub, like Sammy Guevara, good, but the promos that I was like, ooh, like, I caught myself, like, paying extra attention to were from 2.0 and Daniel Garcia. The newer guys, like, in this Jericho stable that I couldn't give a damn about. Well, Daniel Garcia, which he was first. Let's talk about Daniel Garcia. Daniel Garcia is a guy that I just didn't quite get the hype. I was behind him when he was teasing leaving the JAS to go with Bryan Danielson, who originally wanted him in the Blackpool Combat Club. Bryan Danielson is Daniel Garcia's real life hero. But and the whole thing with you're a wrestler or a sport or you're a sports entertainer story was digging it. And I still felt that having Garcia turn on Bryan and go back to Jericho felt like super flat when it happened. This, though, is kind of a long-term thing that kind of like made it all make sense, though. Because Garcia gets on the microphone and he tells him to stop talking and just listen. He thought he was ready to stand out here and have a civil conversation, but after Chris took advantage of him and pinned him last week, he wants him to know what he sacrificed for Jericho. He changed the fabric of his being, turned his back on his heroes, obviously referring to when he turned his back on his hero, Bryan Danielson, and he chose Chris every time. But Chris never chooses him. And because he's not choosing Garcia, he can't do this anymore. Garcia leaves. Then we got Jake Hager. Probably didn't give a shit about this one, but Hager said he's not surprised, and he knows he's known Jericho for longer than any of these guys, and that's why they work well together. He made Hager a lot of money, but they have to cut ties tonight because everyone knows they have a lot of options, and he did like that hat. I hated that hat. And now everybody knows that he does not appreciate Jericho. So he leaves. And then Jericho makes a pitch to others that he's improved all their careers. He then addresses that to Anna Jay and Ty Mello. Ty says, I used to be proud of this group, but no more. Right now she feels sick. And she'll make a decision that Chris can't. When they have their baby in a year, she's going to come back better than ever. But she's not going to be part of the JAS because she quits. And then Anna says, you may have helped our careers and may have helped me get to be in the main event tonight, getting a world title match, but I don't need you anymore. And BFFs, Ty Mello and Anna Jay walk out together. Then we get to Angelo Parker, who says he doesn't want to do this, and he loves being a sports entertainer. He's fought with pride and given Jericho everything he can because of some crazy bumps he's taken in a few of their bigger matches, but I still not the biggest fan of him, but this was a good promo here. He's fought with pride and given Jericho everything he's got, but what has Chris given him? He has no choice and has nothing left to give, and then he leaves. Then we got Matt Menard. I'd say either Daniel Garcia's or Matt Menard's promo was my favorite out of all these. Matt says Jericho was his childhood hero. When he got his first job and his first paycheck, he bought a Chris Jericho t-shirt. When his wife was 8 months pregnant, he had no job, and Jericho heard his story and invited him into his home and brought him to AEW under his wing. He even mentioned guys like Eddie Kingston and Kevin Steen, who are good friends in real life, and of course Kevin Owens. But then he said the last 18 months have been nothing but a dream, but it's never sat right with him that guys he came up with, like Eddie Kingston, Kevin Steen, why they hate Jericho's guts. But now he's starting to understand. Very heartfelt promo there and very personable. Again, those promos are the ones that really, really get to me. So props to Matt Menard for that promo there. Again, Angelo's wasn't too bad, but I like Matt's a little bit better. And then we get to Sammy, who is the last one in the ring. Sammy says he's loyal. He won't walk out because Chris is his friend. deep down, he always thought Jericho would do the same for him because they're friends. So this is not him quitting. He just said he hopes Chris works through whatever he's going through. And if he does, maybe he'll be here. And that's the end of the segment. Like, this reminded me a lot of, like, whenever they had that no confidence segment where everybody slowly walked out on Triple H when he was the on-screen COO running the show thing in 2011. That's what this kind of reminded me of. And like I said, these, like, the promos, especially from Matt Menard and Daniel Garcia, I mean, Sammy's was good. Again, the only one I didn't really care for was Hager's. Well, first off, again, because I don't like that hat. I mean, yes, they've been together for a long time, but I really don't care. But Garcia's was I love the storytelling. I love whenever they like refer to like the past and it all comes together. Matt Menard's was great as well. Again, the girls were good too, but again, the ones that stuck me the most were definitely Matt Menard's and Daniel Garcia's. But after the commercial break, Renee Paquette goes to interview Chris Jericho, but then Don Callis goes, hey, if I played a role in any of this, I don't know what to say, and I'm sorry. And Chris is like, you know what? I will have an answer for you next week. We'll announce it together next week, which is making us wondering, did that get to Jericho that he will not join the Don Callis family? Or will he turn his back? Because I kind of feel like you've got to have him join the Don Callis family. But there have been rumors of a possible match at All In with Chris Jericho and Will Ospreay, which could be good, but I still kind of want to see, because they were teased a few months ago, and that's what's like kind of already like somewhat in the works. I'd still rather see Chris Jericho versus Sammy Guevara. Again, don't get me wrong, I love Will Ospreay. Again, out of all the New Japan guys that usually just appear occasionally, more so for Forbidden Door, out of all of the New Japan guys, the one I've definitely become a big fan of for sure is Will Ospreay. But I'm more invested personally in Jericho and Sammy. So I hope that's the match they go with. But we'll just have to wait and see. So there was that match. Then that opening segment. Then we had the Hardys, Matt and Jeff, versus the Young Bucks, which was a good match. Of course, again, the Hardys, mojo's a little bit down on them a little bit. More so because of, again, Jeff is just coming back. Well, people are still hot for Jeff. But again, you also got to build that trust that will Jeff not screw up again. But it was still a good match. The Young Bucks do win. Afterwards, they called out FTR. They stared it down. And the Bucks simply just say, all in. And the match is official. We will be getting the rubber match with the Young Bucks and FTR. Who is the greatest tag team at All In? And that will be a fire match. Okay, then we get a video package. There's going to be a fatal 4-way for the AEW Women's Championship at All In. The only person at the beginning of this show who officially had a spot in that match was not the champ Hikaru Shida, but it was Toni Storm, who exercised her rematch clause, and she got a bye into the match. But the rest of the bracket, on this show in the main event, which I'll just briefly talk about it, Hikaru Shida versus Anna Jay. It was a good match. Hikaru Shida does retain her title. So I know people were like, wait a minute, why does Hikaru Shida have to earn her way into the Fatal 4-Way? But, you know, she actually defended the titles, because of course if Anna Jay would have won, then she would have been in the Fatal 4-Way. But here's the only problem I have with this bracket. Hikaru Shida versus Anna Jay. On Rampage, we had Saraya versus Sky Blue. Now, that one I can forgive a little bit. Because Sky Blue, although it was pretty obvious, were you really not going to put Saraya on the card? in London, in her hometown, for the first time since she came back from a career-ending injury. Again, Sky Blue is somebody I could have seen being in the match. Because again, it does seem like they have a plan for her. She seems like somebody who is getting ready for a big push. And the other match we're going to be having on Dynamite this week is Britt Baker versus the Bunny. It's kind of a flat bracket. First of all, you could have had all those women in the tournament. I feel like you could have had, again, if you would have given this more time, you could have done like a bigger bracket to set up for this. I think that could have made the match feel a little more special, in my opinion. But of course it didn't. But like I said, Saraya and Sky Blue, like, they're not going to leave Saraya off this card. So why are you, so that one, but again, like I said, Sky Blue is so legitimate. But again, Hikaru, Shida, and Anna Jay, like, yeah, good match. I like Anna, but again, does anybody actually believe that Anna Jay would have been put in that match? And then we have Britt Baker and the Bunny. Does anybody even believe that the Bunny is going to make it in? Like, why couldn't they do Saraya and Britt Baker again? Have Saraya win to get into the match. And like maybe like Willow Nightingale instead of the Bunny. Or like maybe we could have had Willow Nightingale take on, because Willow, again, as I've said recently, she's still building up, but like Sky Blue, I could have taken Willow Nightingale as a possible threat and a possible candidate to get into this match. Or why couldn't we use someone like, Athena? Or Mercedes Martinez? Julia Hart, for crying out loud, is on like a winning streak on Collision? Like, I feel like they could have made this tournament, this little bracket thing, like a little more interesting, in my opinion. But I think it's set up that the person who has to win at Allin is Saraya. I'm sorry, Shida. I mean, I know you've earned this. I know your entire reign as women's champion was in front of almost nobody. But you got to give the belt to Saraya in the UK. After the story she has had of getting back to the ring. I don't care if she's a heel and involved with the Outcasts. This is her hometown. She's going to get treated like how Buddy Murphy did when him and Cedric Alexander stole the show in Buddy's hometown of Australia, home country of Australia, for the Cruiserweight Championship. The Cruiserweight Championship stole the show at Super Showdown in 2018. But, yeah, like, Saraya needs to win that. And like I said, I wish they would have maybe, like, not made the tournament so obvious, or, like, they had to put Britt into the finals. Like, they couldn't put, like, Taya in there or something. I don't know. Like I said, I just feel like they could have structured that bracket a little bit better than they did. But we got that. Well, actually, I'll wait. We'll get through the one match that took place in between this. We first had a recap of last week's three-way match and the parking lot brawl on Rampage between the BCC and the Best Friends. The BCC cut a promo where Mox says he hopes Best Friends have learned their lesson and they don't belong in the ring with them. And tonight, the Lucha Bros have challenged them to a match, and they expect to win and leave absolutely no doubt. Just ask Pac, which Claudio tells the bastard, you can't just stab him in the back and he's going to pay for it. Does anybody else, because a lot of people are saying this, that they feel like that Pac really is not injured, because there's reports out that Pac is hurt, could be out for a long time. But there might be a ruse, because a lot of people are saying they think that they're going to do the BCC versus Death Triangle at All In. Okay, we'll see how that works out. We'll see, of course. We had Jack Perry take on RVD for the FTW title. And it was a great match, and I'm like, why didn't we just keep this for All In? Damn it. I was disappointed to see they actually did the match here. I think this is going to be just a one-off match for RVD. And that kind of sucks. Because again, I don't know why they didn't leave this one for All In. This would have been an excellent match to be on the card. But instead, I was disappointed by that. But great match. RVD looked excellent. Jack Perry won, though, because it was a no DQ match. And when Aubrey Edwards was looking, Jack Perry did hit RVD with a low blow to attack RVD. And he won with a schoolboy roll-up to retain the FTW title. But RVD looked excellent in the match. He looked so good. Like, he can still go. And also, a little shout out, because RVD liked my Instagram post when I posted the photo of him in the thumbnail from last week's episode of Dynamite. He liked that photo, which is cool. Like, I've had wrestlers view my Instagram story that I had them tagged in. I had LA Knight share my Instagram story on his. And I've had 2 wrestlers now who have liked a post I tagged him on Instagram. RVD and Deonna Purrazzo. Which is freaking cool that they recognize that. So thank you, of course, to all of them. But yeah, I wish they would have saved that for All In. Because now, who's Hook going to fight at All In? I mean, I'm sorry, who's Jack Perry going to fight at All In? I'm hearing Hook, but yeah, but I think that's more for like All Out, I feel like. Not All In. But we'll see, though. So that was great, I thought. We had Renee Paquette interviewing the Lucha Bros. And then Alex Abrahante says that the Death Triangle is a symbol of brotherhood, and they fight in spirit of competition, where Blackpool fight to maim and hurt. Penta says they'll show why they're the best tag team in the universe with Cero Miedo. All right, let's get to one of my favorite parts of the show, which I think is every week, which is Adam Cole and MJF. So first, earlier in the night, we had a segment where MJF again wanted to go to like bars and do something with all these women, this and that. But Cole's like, that's not his thing. So they take their bromance to a trampoline park, which of course MJF's like, what are you trying to pull here, basically? Like, again, something else he's not really a fan of. That Adam Cole helps him find some fun, and they have like some sort of mutual fun with it. But anyways, they're jumping on the trampolines, which honestly looked fun. Again, I haven't been to a trampoline park in 7 years. Because the last time I went to one, I blew out my knee. So I haven't been back to one since, but I don't know if I'll ever go back to one again. Who knows? Anyway, so they did that, and then of course Adam Cole mentions, there's dodgeball here, and MJF's like, oh yeah? So MJF goes and plays dodgeball, which also I didn't know this. MJF's left-handed because he was throwing the ball lefty. And he was just nailing the kids. And of course the music and everything, it was a priceless segment. But then Adam Cole comes over and was like, dude, what are you doing? You're like destroying these people. And then basically he has a change of heart because a little girl calls them out and makes fun of them for grown men being at a trampoline park and gives Adam Cole the bird. And Cole sees that and he goes, okay, yeah, you can do one more. It's totally fine. Basically, just like kind of embracing MJF's side of thing. And MJF knocks the lights. Well, I should say not. That's not what I should say. But basically, MJF gets her out of the game. So then later on in the night, we have Better Than You Baby in the ring. MJF says there's footage going around of him saying to everyone in the Midwest is mid. And we can agree that footage is heavily edited and vague, and may God strike him down if he's lying. His favorite place in the entire United States is the Midwest. God does not, in fact, strike MJF down. Adam Cole then says he's going to beat Max for his title at All In. And then MJF takes it as a cue to do a promo battle. It's like, oh, what do you want to do, buddy? You want to do promo battles? Like, and then of course, like, Cole's like, no, not this. But then MJF starts, like, getting into it. He says Adam Cole is so skinny and ghostly white that if this were in the 80s, Hogan would have snorted him. He also keeps throwing a bunch of other, like, silly insults at Cole, but Cole's like, no. We're not doing it that way. At Wembley, we're going to make history. But, speaking of making history, I want to go all in on making history. Because he's pretty sure that we all love them as a tag team. And we'd all love it if they got some gold to share together. So as difficult as it was not to win the tag titles, there's another set of titles that mean just as much to him as the AEW ones are. So Adam Cole expresses his history with Ring of Honor. How he owes his entire career to Ring of Honor. He's a former Ring of Honor World Champion. Ring of Honor World Television Champion. But he never won the Ring of Honor tag titles. Titles held by some of the best. The Kings of Wrestling. Red Dragon. The Briscoe Brothers. Rest in peace, Jay. They set the bar on what tag team wrestling is all about. And it's time they showed how damn good they are. So, Aussie, whatever they're called, Aussie Open is not on the show. So he challenges Aussie Open to the World Tag Title match at AEW 0 Hour for Wembley. And MJF's like, you serious about this? And then he goes, are you a sick pervert? And of course that got the crowd, chanting stuff. But instead he then said, you know what? We're brochachos for life. And I'm a sucker for publicity. So if the crowd wants it, we'll do it. So and then they say yes. And then he goes, so by the powers vested in him as our scumbag, we will take the tag titles from Aussie Open at the 0 Hour in Wembley. But then we have Roderick Strong coming out in his neck brace and says, I can't believe you're doing this. You want to win the tag titles with him and not me? A Ring of Honor legend. Your actual best friend. And MJF is, Adam Cole, you can see the guilt start to crawl on his face. MJF's like, you know what? I'm getting sick and tired of these jealous ex-girlfriend vibes. I want to do whatever weird, generic white people normally do in this situation. Well, I'm sorry, he's telling Roderick Strong this. He tells him to go home, run upstairs, slam the door, jump in bed, and cry into your Hello Kitty pillow, listen to some Taylor Swift, and shake it off, you bland bitch. And that gets the crowd going, shake it off, shake it off, shake it off. But then Roddy's like, I ain't a bland bitch. Adam, what? Are you going to stand there and let him talk to me like that? And then Roddy goes, you know what? Fine. The Kingdom was right about you. You never really were my friend. And then the Kingdom come out on the stage and embrace Roddy. They just awkwardly walk off the stage hugging. It was weird. But then MJF starts talking some more trash. And this whole time you can see Adam Cole feeling the guilt. But Adam snaps and shoves Max. And it's like, what are you doing? You need to understand that Roddy is my friend too. And then all of a sudden he realizes, uh-oh, I shouldn't have done that. And he goes, you know what? Wait, no. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. And Max like, it's cool. They hug it out. And then MJF says, go ahead and check on your friend. We didn't see him again for the rest of the night, but like all these segments with them are just like, they're teasing the turn by one of them, because now, like I said, I'm that convinced that I don't know if it's going to be Max who turns or Adam Cole who turns. I mean, I think the obvious pick is Max or MJF, but I don't know. Like, they, honest to God, may go with Roddy. I mean, they may go with Adam turning on him. I don't know. I'm really into this. And again, now they're going to be having this. I might have to watch the 0 hour for Wembley because I want to see if they win the titles or what they do. But, whew, that was a great segment. Another great segment. It's definitely one of the hottest things all year for sure in wrestling. This tag team with MJF and Adam Cole. And Roderick Strong was like, what are you doing? I'm your friend. I'm your friend. And just that hug with the Kingdom was so awkward but so funny. But anyways, we then had a match with the BCC and the Lucha Bros. The match was good. I don't know, like I said, it's because they just had a very high profile feud with the Elite that this all just feels like a big step down for the BCC. Well, I mean, they lost it, but I don't know. Something's just a little bit off with this, I feel like. But anyways, I believe there's still some good back and forth, some good near falls. After the match though, the BCC kept mauling the Lucha Bros, and they tear off Penta's mask, and Claudio put it on. Ooh. So, like I said, I don't know if this is going to lead to like a 6-man tag at Wembley. It feels a little random. Like, there really isn't too much of a story besides, get, both these teams on there and put on a good match. But there's not really anything on the line for this feud. So, not as interested in this, but it'll be fun when it happens. Like I said, this could be leading the pack coming back, who knows. But anyways, Kenny Omega being interviewed backstage. And he's asked about his plans for Allin. He puts over the Bucks and FTR. And he says he's going to sit down with Jim Ross next week and talk about his future. So look forward to that. So we'll find out who he is facing at Wembley. We got the Mogul Embassy coming out. Which, by the way, Swerve's theme is really growing on me as well. And again, I am becoming more and more of a fan of the Mogul Embassy. Again, I don't know what it is, but Swerve with a group just really clicks with me. And again, I do like that they're doing this kind of a rub on AR Fox as well. So anyways, they come out and Prince Nana tells everyone to shut up and listen to Shane. Well, I still call him Swerve, but Shane Strickland. So, he talks about last week, and they had to drive the point home by going to Seattle and visiting the Buddy Wayne Academy and putting the fear of God into Nick Wayne. And nobody's going to do anything about it because the Mogul Embassy is above the law. AR Fox then calls out Darby Allin. Darby comes out and says he tried to help Fox, and he's not telling the whole story. He had to leave because AR Fox was down in the dumps, and look what happened. Fox made it all the way to AEW by himself. He will always respect Fox and credit him for changing his life. But it looks like he has some new friends. But remember though, I have friends too. So the lights go out, come back on, and Sting is there using the bat to take out the embassy and brings Swerve to his feet and points to the Wembley sign, and then Swerve is spooked and he runs away. And that match is made official. We are going to be getting Swerve and AR Fox versus Darby Allin and Sting at Wembley. Honestly, good. I kind of want to see the Mogul Embassy win that match though. I mean, yes, I do like the matches that kind of like headline or feature Sting, but a match like this, I'm like, okay, you got to give it to like the upcoming AR Fox and Swerve as well. But again, I gotta reiterate this for the umpteenth millionth time. Why are we not doing Swerve and Keith? Why did Keith, like now I'm starting to get worried. I am legitimately starting to get worried now that there's something going on with Keith Lee. Like, I know he had the health scare 2 years ago, but like, are they still being cautious with him because of that? Because he's not been on TV much, and they're they're like start and stop in this build with Swerve and Keith. Like, it makes no sense. Like, again, I like this story and how it's given a new spotlight to AR Fox. It's giving him a direction, yes. But why do we keep ignoring this money match of Swerve and Keith? All In is a great spot to do Swerve and Keith. Like, before, I'm like, oh, it'll happen. Now I'm starting to get a little frustrated. Because it's almost been it's been 9 months to almost a year since they split them up, and they still have not done the match. It's like, come on, like, it kind of should have happened by now. Like, we're going to wait till a full year, we're going to wait till Double or Nothing next year. Like, when are we going to do it? When are we finally going to do that match with Swerve and Keith? Like I said, I'm beginning to fear that maybe Keith Lee still has some health problems. I can't prove that, but that's what I'm starting to worry about. Because the fact that they're just holding off this match for so long, and they're barely giving Keith Lee anything. You got Collision and Dynamite, and you still can't give Keith Lee the time. I don't know. But the main event we already talked about briefly was Hikaru Shida versus Anna Jay, and Hikaru Shida won the match. So far, from what I know from here and from Rampage last night, it is Shida, Toni Storm, and Saraya. So it's either going to be Britt Baker or the Bunny joining, but it's going to be Britt. That's very, very obvious there. And we'll see how that goes. But guys, wow, I talked quite a bit in this review. I could have done this one live as well. Who knows? But that's my review of this week's episode of Dynamite. Again, it was a good show. Again, I like the beginning stuff with the JAS. Broken Nail, sorry. I did like, of course, I love the stuff with Adam Cole and MJF. Their stuff was good. I gave it a B. Like, again, it was not as fire. Well, because I also loved Jack Perry and RVD. I just wish they would have saved that for Wembley. But again, I thought it was a good show. I didn't love it as much as last week's. It was still good. Even though I gave it the same grade, it was a little bit better than the show week before. But this one was good. It set stuff up, but it just wasn't fire like it was last week's. I gave this show a B. A B for this week's episode of Dynamite. What are your guys' thoughts on this week's episode of AEW Dynamite? Leave your guys' thoughts down in the comments section below. And be sure as always to slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content on my channel. And follow me on Twitter at the Club of the Man 1993. Club of the Man 93. Also follow me on TikTok and Instagram at the Club of the Man 1993. And until then, guys, I'll check it out. I'll catch you guys later. And do not forget, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. And for I am the man himself.